What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday and welcome into another edition of the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS podcast. I am your host, James Grande. I am joined by Henry Wilson. You can follow him on the old X machine, which doesn't sound as flowy as the Twitter machine, but I digress there. At Henry13 Wilson 13. Henry, what's going on, man? Happy Thursday.
Yeah, happy Thursday. It's going well. Excited to get into today's slate. Good 7-game one should be exciting. This should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, 7 games. Some top notch starters we have going today. Some being a little too cheap. We have no 10K pitchers on the slate. We're looking at the DraftKings slate. If you guys are first time watchers of this program, and if you are a first time watcher of this program, please like this video. We record a pre-show Monday through Friday every day, and then we come back live Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, breaking down what we know, lineups and weather and all that good stuff that we didn't know the night before recording the preview. So let's get into things on this slate. We go position by position here. So we'll start off at pitcher. We have 2 pitchers listed 9K or higher. Tanner Houck of the Boston Red Sox faces Oakland. Luis Castillo travels to the Angels. And I got to say, I think one of these guys is incredibly interesting and one is not. If we've been looking at Tanner Houck, a recent All-Star nod, and he's well-deserving of that. Luis Castillo on the road, though, Henry, it has been a hot topic. His splits this year, much like most of the pitchers on the Mariners, not good at all.
Yeah, look, I get that, but also it's the Angels, right? Like, they're not very good against righties. I really like Luis Castillo still here. He just had a great outing against the Blue Jays. He struck out 8, and that's a good offense that does not strike out a lot. So now here coming in against the Angels, I get the splits. I get that he's had some shaky outings. Struggled with the strikeouts a little bit in some starts, but here against the Angels, I don't know, I kind of trust his talent. And I think 9,200 for him, I'm willing to pay it.
Yeah, I think it's a talent thing, right? We expect him to be better on the road than what he has been. Eventually, who knows when that's going to come, because it has been night and day. I mean, it's a run and a half worse on the road. The batting average is the whip, the strikeouts. I mean, everything is down from what it is in Seattle, but it isn't a very enticing matchup. So I agree. I think you can get to either guy in the 9K tier. I think the 8K tier is incredibly interesting because you have Max Fried going up against Brandon Pfaadt and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Obviously, Arizona has been a very good left-handed hitting team. Now, they are getting worse against lefties and better against righties for what that's worth over the last month. We have Aaron Nola, who's pitching as well as he has in recent memory outside of a start against Boston. But he gets the Dodgers here, and obviously, that is always a concern. And then you have Nestor against Tampa, who hits lefties well, and Justin Steele coming off, obviously, his best start of the year, but, gets the number 1 rated team against lefties in baseball this year. A lot of talent in this tier, but talk to me about, realistic, wants for DFS here.
Yeah, it's super intriguing here because, like you said, there's a lot of talent in some kind of tough matchups.
Yeah.
I can see going, there's arguments for each of them, but there's also arguments against each of them. Yes. I think my favorite of the group is Aaron Nola, actually. I get he's facing the Dodgers, and there's not a lot of guys that we want to pitch against the Dodgers, but look, he just shut down the Braves. I realize the Braves have been a little worse recently. They don't have Acuna and all that, but the Braves are still a ridiculously good offense, and he just shut them down in Atlanta. And the Dodgers aren't some crazy super team. They're losing Mookie, no Mookie right now. So they're still really good, but Nola's pitching so well that I kind of trust him even having to face the Dodgers here.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to take shots, right?
Yeah,
Any name in that tier, you're taking a shot on because of the matchup.
100%.
So I'm with you. I like Aaron Nola on the year, and to like your point, this is included with Mookie Betts. The Dodgers are third in OPS as a team. Like that's obviously a scary proposition to go up against. I'm trying to pull up last month. Let's pull up last month here against right-handed pitching because I want to see the Dodgers. I mean, they're still sixth in OPS, 187 team ISO, 10% walk rate, 21. It's still like they're all still very good numbers because at the end of the day, like their top four sans
Yeah,
Mookie is still Otani, Smith,
amazing.
Teoscar, and Freddie Freeman in no particular order, obviously. But so I'm with you. It's scary. I'm okay. Same. I feel the same way about Max Fried. He probably has,
Yep.
I mean, as good as stuff as anyone else here. I don't know if he has as much upside as anyone else. I know he has a complete game on his ledger, but that came against the Cubs. I, I have this. I mean, Justin Steele has been since returning from the IL and since he basically pitched in the rain in Cincinnati and they like forced him to pitch to the rain. It was the start on June 1st. He threw 5 innings, 5 runs, 7 hits. Literally just in a downpour. Him and Hunter Green both sucked because they couldn't grip the baseball. Since then, he's been as good as he was last year, and this was a guy who was like front runner for Cy Young for possibly, I mean, up till
Yeah.
what point in the year, right? So I know Baltimore's great, but like you were mentioning with Nola, it's like I feel the same way about Justin Steele. Now Baltimore is not slowing
Hmm.
down. They don't have injuries. They are completely healthy, and they're really scary against left-handed pitching. But and this when you get opportunities to get a Steele, a Nola, a Freed under 9K, I feel like it's an opportunity worth taking a shot on. So I think you and I are basically on the same front there. What about below 8K? What do we got? I mean, Shane Baz obviously from a like talent standpoint stands out the most. I'd say making his second start, 92 pitches in his debut against Texas. All three of those runs came in the first inning, and he like stabilized the rest of the game. Anything, anything that of note that you're taking a look at in this year?
Yeah, I do think Shane Baz is intriguing just because, like, I do really believe in the talent. If it was against the Yankees, I'd be all over him at 7,200. The Yankees make it super scary just because the Yankees are scary, but I could still see taking a shot on him because he has good talent. He has the strikeout stuff. So for 7,200, like, he could be worth a shot. But I kind of want to talk about taking the $4,000 shot on Jack Kahanowitz
Okay.
because he's making his debut. The jump from Double A, and look, his overall numbers don't look that great in Double A this year. But it was kind of rough to start the season, and he's been really good recently down in Double A. He's been getting like 7-8 strikeouts a game a lot. Granted, no, this is still a jump from Double A. Even the Seattle Mariners, who strike out a lot, are a lot better than all of these Double A teams that Kahanowitz. I think
Nailed it. You nailed it right off the rip. You nailed it right off the rip. I just want to add. So no,
Yeah.
we'll take that out in post. Okay, we'll take that out in post.
Perfect. But no, so obviously, yeah, Mariners are going to be a tough jump. You never know with someone's debut, but look, the Mariners strike out a lot. Sometimes guys come up in this debut and you have the adrenaline pumping and they come out and dominate. So for 4K, it means I can, choose the pitcher I trust the most of the rest of them and then have a lot of money to spend with. So I'm kind of willing to take that $4,000 shot on him here.
So it's very interesting. I don't know if you saw this. He has thrown 2 complete games in his last 3 starts at AAA, which is like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's like pretty. I mean, if you're pitching that deep into games, like, dude, 9 innings, 1 run, 4 strikeouts is fine, but then 9 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts in his most recent start, 102 pitches, the most pitches he's thrown all year. Like, this is a fully stretched out dude who, by all accounts, throws a lot of strikes, and like you said, obviously didn't start the year with strikeout stuff, but has a boatload of like 6-7 strikeout outings. I agree. And to your point, we just saw that with Gilbert Diaz the other day going up against the Braves. He was electric over 6+ innings, other than outside of an Austin Riley home run for the Diamondbacks. So I agree. I actually don't hate that approach because if he gives you 15 fantasy points, you're sitting on top of the world.
Oh yeah, it's
You're
four
on top of
thousand
the world.
dollars.
Yeah, you're on top of the world. So
And I think there's upside for more because, like you said, he's stretched out. A lot of these guys, their first outing, you're worried, oh, they're going to go out there and pitch 3 innings or something. But hey, sure, he could run into troubles, see how it could get to him, and he could be out. But if he's out there and actually performing, yep, he could go 6 innings against the Mariners and pile up a handful of strikeouts. Like, it's very possible. So, yeah, for 4K, yeah, you don't need him to do a whole lot, and he could actually provide some decent points.
he sure could. I like that. I like that call. I'm not touching anything else. Albert Suarez is due for negative regression. I've been screaming that from the rooftops. All of his peripheral stats scream it,
Yep.
and I'm not buying in. Um, no thanks on Brandon Fott. No thanks on Roddery Munoz. Uh, I remember when Jake Bloss got called up, I was all in on the Orioles, and that was working out until he got left the game with a shoulder injury. I don't know why he's uh, whatever, but even it's Miami, I'm still not like 55 pitches in AAA is last time out, so I don't think we need to really touch on anything else. Let's head over to catcher.
Nope.
Let's what do we got at catcher? I mean, is there anything that like really stands out to you?
I think there, a couple guys I like. I don't think anyone's like super jumping out. Obviously, I like Yanier Diaz if you want to live on the top end. I think he's been hitting the ball well. I think the biggest one that jumps out to me is Sean Murphy at 3,500, who's been hitting the ball really well. I mean, this is a guy who we've known to be one of the best hitting catchers in baseball, and he's kind of out there hitting again. And so for 3,500, it seems pretty cheap here to get him against Brandon Fott, who I don't really trust to shut down this Braves team.
No, I agree. I think Murphy is the guy outside of who do you mention? Yanier Diaz, Logan O'Hop.
Yeah.
He homered twice the other day. He has been on an absolute tear. If you don't trust the Luis Castillo road splits, I think that's obviously an option you can get to. And then there's just punts, right? Marchand, you can punt. Austin Wells, if you want to play 3,200, anything like that. We'll obviously we'll be back at 5 p.m. With more analysis on the catcher position, who's in and who's out of lineups. So let's go over to first base, where Shohei Ohtani exists in the world. Bryce Harper may exist in the world. We'll see. And Freddie Freeman, 5,600. Along with Bohm, Christian Walker, Matt Olson, that rounds out the 5K tier. What do you like here above 5K, Henry?
Yeah, I don't really want to go for the Dodgers guys because, like I said, I kind of do trust
Like
Nola here. Obviously, even if you're not starting him, I don't really want to go after the Dodgers hitters against him. So, yeah, I like, Alec Bohm against Landon Knack. I think, Knack was pretty good so far, but I think he's got some negative regression coming as well. I think Harper obviously is day-to-day right now, didn't play in the Wednesday game, so he might be out. So I kind of like just turning to Bohm as a part of this Phillies lineup in this matchup. And I also like running with the Braves still and Matt Olson against Brandon Fott too. I think at the 5K, I'm probably living, one of those guys around here today.
Yeah, the Landon Knack thing you mentioned, that happened too. They went in that Arizona start. Jock, Christian Walker, and Lourdes, I think, all went back to back to back.
Oh, that's right. That was against Knack. Yeah. So, we've seen it happen.
Elevated fly ball rate. The elevated fly ball rate for Knack and all that. I agree. I do like Philadelphia quite a bit here. Also like your Matt Olson call for sure. Moving down the list, Isaac Paredes back to multi-position eligibility. I love that. I also love him against left-handed pitching.
Yes.
So I think Paredes makes a lot of sense at 4,400. If you aren't in on Justin Steele, obviously Ryan Mountcastle has hit lefties well in the past. He has not played well lately. But $4,300 against a lefty, I think that's interesting. What about when we drop below like the 4K tier? I mean, we have Michael Busch, who has been really good again. This seems like just kind of been a trend this year. Michael Busch has just turned into a good baseball player. Is that like the first place under 4K we'd be looking?
Yeah, definitely. We already talked our distrust of Albert Suarez here, so don't
Sure.
mind going after these Cubs. And Michael Busch has been awesome. Yeah, he's just kind of smacking the ball right now. So for 3,900, like that seems like a really good price for someone who's well over 1,000 OPS over the last 10 games and looks pretty locked in at the plate.
What about Ben Rice? Any thoughts on Ben Rice?
I think Ben Rice is intriguing. He's obviously like got off to this super hot start. A lot of
Okay.
that's driven by that 3 home run game he had. But I mean,
Sure.
5 homers in a stretch of 5 games too. Like he's looked awesome. He should be still batting leadoff here. So he's hitting in front of Judge and Soto. Lefty righty matchup here. Like I said, I do like Boz, but man, for 3,800, you get a guy who's hitting the ball well and hitting at the top of this Yankees lineup. That's pretty intriguing.
So I was actually going to comment on that. The Yankees made a change and they weren't on the main slate, so it's not something that we were necessarily paying attention to. But as a Yankees fan, when I was looking at the lineup, they led Alex Verdugo off on Wednesday, and they hit Rice fourth, so he was behind Judge in the lineup. Which I agree. I think Ben. I mean, listen, nobody, as a fan of the team, nobody's ever said Aaron Boone. I've never once said I like Aaron Boone as the manager. So, extension or not, that is never. I've never said those words. So, never. Whatever the case is, it's going to be first or fourth. So he's going to be hitting in the first
Yeah.
4 spots. But just wanted to throw that wrinkle in there. He did hit fourth on Wednesday, so something to monitor. Anything below Ben Rice?
I mean, I think you could go back to like John Singleton here against the righty. He's been hitting the ball pretty well. I do like the Astros in this matchup too, especially as these lefty bats. So I don't mind going there. Other than that, there's not a whole lot cheap. I like. I saw you picked up Dom Smith right there, but I do not trust Dom Smith at all. As a Red Sox fan, he has infuriated me. I realize he's picked it up a bit lately, but man, watching this dude at some of his at bats are just frustrating.
Sure. I don't dispute that. And I'm sure every stop that he's been at, the fans have thought the same. Mets fans, Nationals fans. I'm sure they've said the same thing. They've muttered the same thing. What are you doing, Dom Smith? What are we swinging at? Right? That's your Dom Smith.
Hey, he had that great. Was it 2020? The shortened 2020 season. Dom Smith was like amazing, and then since then he's been just not a good hitter.
Salute to 2020 Dom Smith. We'll never forget you, buddy. Let's go to second base and forget Dom Smith already. Ketel Marte gets a lefty at $5,400. Jose Altuve led off Wednesday's game with a hit. He just keeps on hitting. Jordan, I'll throw like Westberg, Stott, Hamilton in this top tier. What do we like in this upper echelon of second base?
Yeah, it's a little intriguing because normally we have like Marte, Altuve, Albies. They're all usually pretty equally in price, and I like jumping to whoever's facing the lefty. Not the way today, though, because I really trust Max Fried. Don't really want to stack Arizona against him. So I actually like either Altuve or Albies better, even though they're the righty matchup today. But I just like those stacks better. I think I don't trust the pitchers on the other side. So I think both of them are the better options. I think if I have to pick one at these top, I'm going Altuve. Or I also don't mind dropping down to Bryson Stott. We already talked about those Phillies a bit. I think this price feels a little high for Bryson Stott, but I mean, hey, he's hitting the ball pretty well. And yeah, pretty good matchup. So I'd be okay with doing that with like a Philly stack also.
Where did he hit? Because I know they obviously got Schwarber back. Where did Stott hit fourth? Oh boy. I know obviously I understand that also didn't have Harper. That lineup didn't have Harper in it, but yeah, 4,800 for Stott. If he's going to hit somewhere in the middle of that lineup, I definitely have appeal. I would play Westberg if I'm not playing Justin Steele as well. He's been really good. All year long. Power. Hits in like 8 straight games. So I would play Westberg as well. But I agree on every other point you made. Moving down the list, I'd be okay getting to Nico Horner, but obviously, like it's been a subpar season. Things have been better. Hits in 5 straight, RBIs in 4 of 5. Still not running, which I kind of find bizarre considering like maybe the best part of his game last year was the speed, but um, whatever. 4K for Horner. Caballero has been really good against lefties this year. He gets Nestor Cortez. He'll definitely be hitting like in the middle part of that lineup. What do we like in this like 4K and below tier here, Henry?
Yeah, Caballero is probably my favorite. I do like some of these, Rays bats against Cortez. They have a couple guys that hit lefties pretty well, and he's one of them. So I don't mind that for this 3,700, and also partly because there's not a whole lot else I like once you get down here. I think he's almost the lowest that I'm, really willing to go. There's just a lot of guys here are performing quite poorly or also have rough matchups that I just don't really want to take the shot on any of them. Like Lux against Nola not doing, and Torres has been bad. Obviously maybe you could go with Polanco if he's going to be in the lineup if you're not pitching, the rookie. But man, I think it gets ugly pretty fast. And if I'm going low, I'll go Caballero, but I don't know if I want to go much cheaper than that.
Then let's go over to third base where there are plenty of expensive options. Headlined by Rafael Devers, the aforementioned Alec Boehm, Austin Riley. What do we like amongst the 5K tier? I have to think Devers is pretty much, if we can get to 6,200, easily the best option here.
Yeah, absolutely. He's clearly the best option, but like I said, he is way expensive compared to the rest of them. So you have to be able to afford it. If you can't, I'm okay pivoting to one of these other top guys too. We both talked about Phillies and the Braves quite a bit already. So really, I'm okay taking Boehm or Riley. Both are hitting well. Both have pretty good matchups. So if you're more Phillies heavy, maybe go Boehm. If you're more Braves heavy, go Riley. I really like all of those options here at the top end, though.
Yeah, I don't think there's necessarily a wrong answer. You also could play Paredes here, right? And who's obviously,
Yeah.
if you don't play him at first, he's raking. Alex Bregman continues to hit. He's having himself a good Wednesday as well. 2 hits already through 2 innings. Third base is pretty loaded. Is there anything worth talking about when we dip below 4K?
Yeah, I think also can talk about Ahmed Rosario down there. Say if you're
Sure.
leaning into these Rays that are good against lefties, Ahmed Rosario is also one of them. He hits lefties pretty well. I mean, even if you wanted Paredes as well, throw Paredes at first, Rosario at third, or you can also play Rosario at short. So you have some interesting options with those Rays guys here. Again, don't really trust Nestor Cortez. I know he has outings; he's really good, but I kind of like these Rays bats who can hit lefties well. And Rosario for only 3,300 is a pretty cheap option here, who I think could provide some pretty good value.
Yeah, and they hit Rosario third when they face lefties. Also, I don't know if you've seen this. Nestor Cortez on the road versus Nestor Cortez at home are two different human beings. I mean, those are very, very drastic splits. Like
Which is
very,
crazy when you
very
pitch
drastic.
in Yankee Stadium.
Yes, I agree. Man of the people, Nestor Cortez loves New York City. I don't know what to say. That those are. I
Yeah.
mean, your batting average is 100 points worse on the road, and your ERA is like 3+ points worse. I mean, there's something happening. There's something obviously
It's
happening.
drastic.
Not that Tampa's obviously a great place to hit. I mean, not a great place to be. It's not the best ballpark. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it is not comfortable. It is not great. But yeah, Nestor Cortez not great on the road. You can play Rosario at short, and that's where we're headed. Gunnar Henderson tops the list. I never have a problem. I don't care lefty. I would always play Gunnar Henderson if I'm playing Baltimore. Um, Trey Turner. Trey Turner's really interesting. If Landon Knack is going to give up a lot of fly balls and home runs, because Trey Turner's hitting a lot of home runs since returning. What do you think of Trey Turner at $6,000?
Yeah, Trey Turner is probably my favorite option here at short. Actually, I know 6K is a lot, but man, Trey Turner is crushing the ball right now. Like he's got the power, and when this guy's locked in, he's just one of the best hitters in all of baseball, and he is crushing the ball in a lineup I like. So yeah, I'm totally willing to pay the 6K and get to Trey Turner because he's just out of his mind right now.
Out of his mind right now is the perfect way to describe it. That's kind of what happens in Ceddanne Rafaela's world. He goes on crazy stretches of like, what am I watching? And then like the complete opposite of what am I watching when you like, what am I watching? Like, what is he doing? He's in currently like, whoa, what am I watching mode. Would you pay 4,200 for Ceddanne Rafaela against Luis Medina?
Uh Yeah, I think I would. It's not my favorite. I still just think this 4,200 is a little high priced for him for
Sure.
someone who it's going to righty matchup. Obviously, Benita's not great, but he's still going to be batting ninth probably.
Yep.
And so just paying 4,200 for someone it's batting ninth in the order, I just think there's better options. That again, if I'm stacking some Red Sox, then sure, maybe I go the 4,200 for Rafaela, but I just think he's still a little too expensive. And I'd rather like save the money and pivot to one of those Rays guys that we've already talked about, who I think have a better matchup.
Yeah. Ahmed Rosario 3,300 just makes all the sense in the world here at short. If you're spending down, I don't think there's necessarily anyone else. I would say this isn't the spot for Schumann, but he's been good for Oakland if you wanted to do it. He's been stealing bases. He's been getting on a lot. But again, Tanner Houck's been really good, so I don't think we need to do it. Let's finish off and then build the lineup here in the outfield. Don't need to tell you to play any of these gentlemen, right? I mean, if you want to play Ohtani, play Ohtani. If you want to play Aaron Judge or Juan Soto, guess what? That's not a bad idea. Jaron Duran, power and speed, come on down. You're an all-star. You could play him. What else would you play in like the 5K tier? Like what stands out to you the most?
Yeah, I kind of like this cluster of the high 5Ks. Like I said, all those other guys totally viable. You could do it, but some of some tough matchups, or Duran's kind of slowed down a bit, and I'd rather kind of get into this group of like Marcell Ozuna, Jordan Alvarez, Kyle Schwarber, that little like trio that's together there. And I think I'd rather go there than to the higher ones, just because I think those are good matchups for them, and they're all also fantastic hitters.
Yeah, I mean it's really hard for me. Like with anytime you start talking about a guy who doesn't really miss a lot of bats, like Landon Knack, and allows fly balls, like that's Schwarber's wheelhouse. No,
Yeah.
like when you're talking about pitchers who can't miss his bat, that's the most important thing. And then someone who's going to help him elevate the baseball. Feels like a home run waiting to happen. I can't wait to see the home run odds for Kyle Schwarber. Like it's going to be Aaron Judge. It's going to be Aaron Judge like, right? Like
Oh yeah.
it's going to be
Plus
plus
130.
one. Yeah, it's going to be something absurd. Sports books are really smart, so we'll see the odds really close to Judge. I'm with you. I think like the Jordan Schwarber range is where I'd sit to. Uh, Not gonna go by and be. I'd be silly to not mention Brent Rooker again because Brent Rooker continues to be awesome. Night in, night out.
Yep.
Under 5K. What are we looking at? Seiya's been okay. I would say he's been good most of the year. Right now, he's been fine. Jazz is what he is. I don't. John was the one that came out and said overrated. I'm not going to say overrated, but I may or may not have been thinking that. John's just the one who said it, so I'm not the one who said it. I would never say such a thing. I was thinking it, but I wouldn't say it. What else do you like in this 4K tier here?
Yeah, I'm kind of agree with you. Both Suzuki and Jazz, I think, are intriguing. I also think that both of them are, not guys I usually go to because I think they're
Right.
overpriced, but their price is down. These are guys that we lots of times see at 5K or above. So now at 4,600 and 4,500 for the two, like we're getting to a price that I'm willing to play that now because they do have talent and can,
Right.
really provide some value. As we keep going down, I think we've got some intriguing like Red Sox bats and Rays bats, kind of like we've talked about. Obviously, Willie Abreu. against Medina. He's, been kind of colder lately, but still, hitting the ball decently. And I think this is a pretty good matchup for him. And I mean, Randy Rosarena's 4,200. I know he's been a headache this year, but he seems to be turning around a little bit. And against the lefty Cortez, I'm willing to pay the 4,200 for this guy who you never know could turn around and be a 5K outfielder again real fast.
What happened? What happened here? It's been a bad year for Randy Rosarena. Everything suggesting it's been nothing's really positive on that front either. Like it's just been bad, right? It's just a bad season of baseball.
Yeah, I mean, Randy's always been one of those guys that when he goes through cold slumps, they're painful, and this one has just been way more extended than we normally see. Like he starts pressing, he starts not hitting the ball, and it gets ugly. And he's had a lot of ugly stretches in the past, but normally they're like a couple weeks. This has been like half a season. Right. So I don't know. I still think he's talented. He'll probably get out of it, but man, it's been ugly.
Let's continue our ascent down. Castellanos, obviously better against lefties, but he gets knacked. There's a home run there potentially. Brandon Marsh has been really good for Philadelphia lately. Another Philly that I'd be perfectly fine getting to against Landon Knack. I don't know if you guys can tell where Henry and I are leaning. Maybe the city of Philadelphia is one of them, but you'll have to wait and see till we get to the end of the show. Masataka Yoshida, 3,700. His bat has woken up. Anything else down here that is worth mentioning?
I want to also bring up these Braves outfielders. Jared Kelenic, who has been batting leadoff for 4,100. He's been looking pretty good in this leadoff spot. Again, still believe in his talent. Now he's getting like everyday go of it and batting leadoff. He's been looking pretty good. And then, beyond him, we also have Duvall, who, if he's also in the lineup, which should be, he is finally showing a little bit of power. Obviously, he's been, less good than Kelenic, but also kind of turned on recently. And we know the power that he can provide. So getting a matchup against Vought, I like. You get a couple Braves bat here for really cheap.
I am so on the fence about the Duvall one. That's the only one I kind of disagree. Not that I think Brandon Vaught has been anything special. He has definitely been good against righties. He has definitely struggled against lefties. Duvall has been a corpse against right-handed pitching. An absolute abomination against righties. And I know he homered against a righty the other day, and congratulations, you're now 1 for 75 of your last 75 at bats. It would just be, it's just, I get it. The price, the power, the upside that he provides with the power is something worth mentioning. I'm just oh man, clicking on him at 3,200 just doesn't feel good.
No, I get it. You do have to understand, if you're playing him, that's a huge risk that you have a very good chance he's going 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. You're paying the 3,200 because you're realizing that, hey, it's pretty cheap and you could get a home run.
Home run, yeah.
You probably won't, but you're taking a risk there and hoping maybe I do. And then if you do get a home run for 3,200, that's huge. So yeah, it's risky. I'd rather go Kelenic, obviously, but you really need to save money. Throw a dart.
A couple other darts, and I'd actually just throw out 2 guys that are at the same price point as Adam Duvall. If you're okay with the matchup, Austin Hayes, the last time they faced a lefty, he had 3 hits in that Oakland game. And then the following day, 2 hits against another lefty. He hits lefties. They hit him 5th or 6th against lefties. He is just a lefty hitting dude. That's what he's a specialist at. And then Randall Grichuk does the same thing. He hits lefties. They've hit him second at times against left-handed pitching. So I would say between Duvall, Hayes, and Grichuk, you have a value play that down there to go to. Is there anything punty? I got one name for you that I'd potentially play. Do you have anything sub 3K that you would look at?
Oof, I could see maybe if David Dahl is in the lineup for Philly.
DFA'd.
Oh, he was DFA'd? I missed this.
when
That
they
was
brought
part
back
of
when they brought
the
back
Schwarber and
Harper.
Harper getting back. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Well, then not him. In which case, I guess the only other name I'll say is Lo Perfido.
Yep. That's the one I had.
It's not worked a lot of times I've gone for it, but hey, 2,800 against the righty. He should be in the lineup. It's worth a shot.
He homered on Wednesday. So maybe
Yeah.
some signs of life. Hits in 4 straight games for Lo Perfido, including a home run in that
Yeah.
span. So yeah, I like it. Let's get a lineup put together here for the folks at home, Henry. What do you think?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, what do we want to do on the mound? Because obviously we can pay up. I think there's obviously a punt that we can go with, and I'm thinking that's the direction you want to go.
Yeah, I think I want to play Kohanowitz. And
Okay.
then, you know what? Like with that 4K, we're free to, what's your favorite pitcher after that? I'm happy to, because we can pay up if you want Hauk, if you want
Yeah,
Castillo, might as well pay up because we're saving a lot of money.
I know Hauk hasn't necessarily looked great in his last 2 starts. One was
Right.
kind of aided by a rain delay. That wasn't necessarily his fault. The Yankees
Yep.
start he just got knocked out of the game. The Padres are a really good road team again, and they're really good against right-handed pitching. Salute to them, but he has been awesome the
Yeah.
entire season.
Oh, yeah.
So
He's been fantastic. And it's Oakland. So, like, if he can't bounce back here against Oakland, I'll take the loss on that. Yeah. But
so I mean, if we're looking, and again, this doesn't necessarily mean anything what the pitchers previously did. Brian Bayo had 11 strikeouts. Nick Pivetta currently in the 7th inning is at 10. So like
yeah.
we're back to back starts of Boston pitching where we have a sample of double digit strikeouts. So yeah, I think Hauk
Yep.
is the guy there. Is there any specific one plug hopping around the diamond that like we were both like, yes, that guy? Was it Devers? Was it Trey Turner? Was it Schwarber? Kind of seemed like that guy for us a little bit, just with the Landon Knack power. Like, what was the one guy you think you and I were, like both definitively in on?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. We were definitely on the Phillies. I don't know if there was a singular Philly that we were for sure. I guess probably Schwarber. I'd say we lock in Schwarber. Know that we're going to probably put in a couple. Have some money to go. But yeah, I think we were both pretty lockstep in wanting to go after Landon Knack.
Dude, if we go Schwarber Turner, we have $4,100 left. I mean,
That's crazy. Yeah,
that feels pretty good.
yeah.
Like just getting crazy here, right? Devers 62. You still have like plenty of money.
Still
Like
plenty of money, and even you can even just you go full Phillies and you can throw Bowman there, save another 1,000. We still have a ton of money to work with. All right, yeah, you can put him at first even. That's right, because he's dual. All right.
So we'll punt. What's our punt catcher here? Austin Wells 32. They could play Salazar here, who's been pretty good when he's gotten the opportunity. This could be a Salazar game. I'm not sure if he would play.
Yeah,
James
he might be
McCann.
starting.
James McCann probably plays against a lefty here. And Justin Steele. Jackson definitely will play. He's just
Oh,
terrible. I don't
but
think.
he's
Yeah,
atrocious. So
he's
like
terrible.
that's just signing up for a zero. Yeah, I'd rather just take the James McCann if he's in there, or yeah, Salazar I think is okay. I think hey, you could even throw Garrett Stubbs, who's probably going to be starting against the righty, take
Yep.
a
Yeah.
Philly punt catcher, and yeah, keep the stack.
Yeah. Let's do that. And then we had a list of. I mean, we could go Duval, Hayes, or Grishik here at 32, or Loper Fido 28. I think that is probably provides us with some value.
Yeah, why don't you throw Lo Perfido in there and see what that leaves us to play with?
3,900 second base and the outfield. What was our second base here?
I mean, we talked about some of
Caballero,
these Rays guys. Yeah, I like Caballero. Yeah.
$4,100. Kelnick
Yeah,
as a one-off.
yeah.
Do we have a
Kelnick, or
four-man?
you finish the 5-man stack with Brandon Marsh if you want to, but I kind of like Kelnick.
Ooh,
But you could convince me for Marsh and just do full 5-man Philly stack.
I'm not one to shy away from a 5-man stack. I'll tell you that.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go 5-man Phillies. All right. For the podcast audience, Kahanowitz, Hauk on the mound, Garrett Stubbs behind the plate, Alec Boehm at first, Jose Caballero at second, Rafael Devers at third, Trey Turner at short, and then in the outfield, Kyle Schwarber, Joey Loperfido, and Brandon Marsh rounding out the lineup. Again, you could follow Henry on the old X machine at Henry13Wilson 13. You can follow me at _real_grande. Don't forget, if you are not yet following the channel, please do so. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button. Please do all that good stuff. And then, before we get out of here, please, if you want to sign up for the Fantasy Football Draft Guide, the QR code's on the screen, or you can go to fantasyalarm.com/guide. Rankings. It has busts, sleepers, rookies, dynamic tiers by Andrew Cooper, Howard Bender, Jim Bowden, the whole gang. Very proud of the work that we did over here at Fantasy Alarm. So please go get your Fantasy Alarm draft guide for the fantasy football season using that QR code, or going to fantasyalarm.com/guide. That'll do it for here. That'll do it with, oh my gosh, words are hard, man. That'll do it for us today. We will be back at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to break down the 7-game main slate, kicking off at 6:05 p.m. So we'll be basically right up to roster lock here on the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS live stream. So without further ado, thank you to Henry, and thank you to the FA Nation. We'll catch you guys later.